Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nuts and Bolts, coming to you from our new night of Thursday nights. Who would have thought Thursday night broadcast? Well, that said, we're still pre-recording this on the Wednesday just to shatter the illusion. So it's still,
Yeah.
still not quite there, but it's being shown on a Thursday. So let's pretend it's a Thursday. We'll do that radio thing where, they'll pre-record something and then pretend it's that day.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
How is your Thursday going today,
My
Jim?
Thursday is good. Wow. How were those Super Week LCO results that happened on Wednesday night? How crazy
They
were
were
they?
incredible. What amazing games. We should go back and watch the VODs again.
We should. We really should. Before we do that, though, so you thought World of Tanks was over, like season 4 at least. But I had to show this off because, I'm very proud of this shirt. And once again, thank you to Simmy Cat, one of our Game on Oz community members, for helping me with this. But this photo here, I love the back of that shirt. Although, Jay said to me on the night, I should go back and put season 4 on it because the teams will change up for season 5, and I kind of want to put a tally below the teams that have won stuff as well.
Oh, so you can keep it as a running.
Yeah, or at least
I mean, you can add more teams at the bottom. So
you could, but then there's teams on there that won't be in the league next season.
Yeah.
So I reckon this will be a season 4 shirt. Yeah, I'll have to work something because I'll have to add something to it, I think. But yeah, no, I was just really happy with that shirt, and I of course did not flag the cameraman down, tackle him, and say, I've got something cool to show you. He naturally saw this, and just as I was standing there, and he took the photo.
Yeah, very candid. Very candid.
That's it. Very candid.
Oh no, honestly, the way that's set up with the teal and the orange lighting in the background.
Well, those are the that's the color of the team. So the teals, the Sentinels, and the orange is the Scorpions. But it goes really well together.
It does.
But even they had themed slushies on the night, so they had a Sentinel slushie and a Scorpion slushie. It was so good.
Amazing!
Every time I start talking about it, I just cannot say in how much I enjoyed this enough. It was such a good event. Especially you can just go there and get a $0 ticket next time it's on. So do it. Go and check it out. Yeah, World of Tanks is amazing esport, and you should watch it.
Yeah. Oh, look, I'm sure we'll be shouting it from the rooftops next time it's on, so folks won't miss it.
That's exactly right. We'll definitely be covering it when season 5 of the ANZPL kicks off. But that's more esport happening at the moment. As we said a little bit earlier, the LCO is in its first Super Week for Split 2 of 2022. There's lots of 2s in there. I feel like I should be Richie Benno for a moment there. Split 2 for season 2022.
That's not a bad impression.
No, it's not a good one either, let's face it. But yeah,
better than mine.
Yeah. So as we alluded to, the Super Week for the LCO is going on. It's been an interesting week. So, like I said, we're recording this Wednesday morning, so the Wednesday night games haven't happened yet. So we're not quite sure what's happened there. No doubt we'll put it in Twitch chat just to let everybody know, to see if there's any other wacky things that have happened. But this week, for me, the wackiest thing to happen was that not only did Peace lose to Kanga, they lost to Mammoth as well.
Yeah, nuts, right? The bottom half rising up against Peace and ganging up on them for their first 2 games.
Yeah, I did see it because I watched both of those games, and there was a bit in Twitch chat that was seriously questioning Peace's draft. They weren't playing to the draft properly, but that just this. I know the lineups changed, but this is a team that went to Worlds last year. There hasn't been really significant changes to my mind. But I mean, there has been changes, obviously. But yeah, I wonder how that they've come to this, or have Mammoth and Kanga. Kanga's been on that sort of middling row for a little bit, and they've said for a while, because they're when they took over the legacy license for the LCO, they were building a team, and pretty much all of last year they were just cool, we're still building, we're getting there, things will click eventually. And I mean, even Lived from Kanga went to MSI with Order earlier this year as well. So like, he's a good player, and I think maybe this might be, we're starting to see Kanga just gel and make the plays that they need to.
Yeah, definitely seeing a theme of momentum there from them, which will be interesting to see for the rest of the season. And the opposite of Peace, which is just absolutely astounding. Certainly not something I think anybody would have picked at the beginning of the season, that they would have been in this position. And I would be interested to see if, their meta picks are a bit off. Maybe they're not keeping up with, changes to the game meta.
Well, it is a new patch as well, we should say. So they're playing,
Yeah.
I think 12 point something or other is the new patch, which got released like a week or two into this split, I think. So it could be just Peace trying to find their feet a little bit more and explore some new meta, I guess. But yeah, it's still, when you lose to teams sort of in the bottom half and you're expected to be up the top, that's alarm bells should be going off with Peace. Like going, what are we doing? Maybe we should just play a little bit more standard stuff to cement our position a bit more. Because at the end of the day, like after those 2 games they lost, they could have been clear second if they'd, like outright second, if they'd won those 2 games. Instead, Kanga's 1 game away from getting in front of them. Well, sorry, we'll say 2 games away, because I'm not sure what the head-to-head is. Actually, let's check that. What's the head-to-head with Peace and Kanga?
I absolutely love the OCE website, by the way. How cool is it that you can pull up the head-to-heads and all the active results as they're going throughout the week?
It's so good. So Peace beat Kanga in the first week. So they're 1 each at the moment, by the look of it. So equal on head to head. So it means they'll be equal 5th. Well, it could be that they'll be equal 5th, which is
depending on how things go tonight as well. Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, tonight, so I think I'm pretty comfortable in my picks for tonight. So we've got Pentanet versus Chiefs. Chiefs still undefeated. I don't think PGG have got the goods to take it to Chiefs at the moment. So I would put Chiefs down as a win there. You got Gravitas and Kanga. Gravitas, who haven't won a game yet this season, so you'd expect Kanga to win that one. Peace versus Order. Order are doing all right. They knocked off Pentanet last night. And Peace aren't going that well at the moment. So, like, you'd have to pick Order there. And then Direwolves and Mammoth. So, Direwolves you would pick there as well. Although, Mammoth did beat Peace last night, so they could bring it out and get those. Be on a roll, yeah. That's it. They could get those tusks up. And with all that said and done, at the end of the week, that would show, if it plays out like how I would expect it to, that means that Peace and Kanga would be on the same points. And with the head-to-head equal, it's interesting. But it's also an opportunity for Order to jump into outright second as well, because because at the moment, Direwolves, Pentanet, and Order are all on equal points, 6 wins. So if Direwolves, actually, sorry, no, that's not quite right. There would be Direwolves would be my pick to beat Mammoth, and Order, I think, would beat Peace. So that means that those 2 teams would end up on equal wins. So it's going to be an interesting league. And
tight. It's really tight.
It's so tight, especially up the top. And like, we've still got to this goes through till September. So there's plenty of time for teams to come back. And there's plenty of times for the wheels to fall off, like the Chiefs. Because at the moment, Chiefs have 10 wins, no losses.
That is such crazy momentum.
It really is, and like their players are just incredible. Like you can't take it away from Chiefs at the moment. They're definitely the favourites to win. And look, coming up against Pentanet this weekend, well, last night, if you're watching this, I don't know how that game's gone. Although, like I said, with the way that Chiefs have been playing and the way that Pentanet have been playing, I'm going to assume that Chiefs have won that. So they might be coming off another loss there. But there's another battle that Pentanet support, Rogue, has a little bit of trouble with. So I have to show this. Like, I do like Rogue. He's a good personality, but this is during Champ Select. So for those listening on the Voice podcast, Rogue's trying to tie his tie, and like he does this. Like, there's been interviews where he's complained that you haven't given me enough time. I needed to put this tie on, you know. But there's a good 40-second clip of him there, and full credit to production for just showing this off while Champ Select is happening.
I just like that he worked it out.
Yeah,
like he triumphed in the end. Before Champ Select was over, he got his tie on his over his esports jersey.
Yeah.
Just perfect combination.
I do love it, and like it gives us something to talk about as well. And like the casters were right on that for a while as well. But just like, I love these sorts of personalities, and we've spoken a bit, like particularly last week, about professionalism in esports, but there's the other side of it where you still want your players to be personalities. You don't want them to just be clean slates, because that's boring as well. And this is a way you do it. This is a way that you create interest in a sport for people that don't know the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Just creating, like, emphasizing something unique about yourself. Like, clearly Rogue's a cheeky guy, but he likes to show up, right? That's why he's been pulling in the tie.
Well, that's it. And I don't know if you've ever watched his live streams, but yeah, like the whole thing is dapper. Like, his stream is dapper. I think his channel points or something around dapper. So that's like his thing that he's got there. But it's like that. But it's something like, it doesn't take much. It's just something that you can go, cool, no worries. He's a character, you know, and I love that. And it's kind of like when teams have a bit of banter as well. So that last week we spoke a little bit about professionalism in esports when it came to things like teabagging. But this week there's been a little bit of Twitter banter. I'm going to show this off. In fact, I should have looked up what event this was for. I'm not even sure what esport this was, but this came across my my Twitter feed, and it's almost a participation certificate, really, isn't it? From the Evil Geniuses to TSM for almost getting a kill at Raptors.
Yeah,
like,
so
that's
that's LCS.
LCS,
pretty sure. Yeah. But yeah, this kind of stuff is really tricky, right? Because you know that it's done in a lighthearted, fun way. And it certainly does create those storylines that you're really interested in. So if these teams are going against each other in the finals later on, you've got something to talk about, that there was a bit of, you know, banter and things happening. I am very glad when it's team versus team kind of banter. That feels like it's less personal, and people aren't going to get their feelings hurt as badly as they potentially might when it's player versus player.
Yeah, look, and that's the thing, really, isn't it? And I must admit, I struggle with it a little bit, and I think it's why Twitter outrage is such a big thing, because if you don't know that person and they've just written something down, you don't know if you take it as satire or as a joke or as banter. Like, it's why websites like The Onion get mistaken for real every now and
real
then, because
news,
because people read it, they don't know the website, and they get outraged. And banter can be a little bit like that as well, especially when you're talking about Twitter.
Do we need to get people to start putting like /s or /jk?
Oh, yeah, almost like, because, you know, when you talk to people, the tone of voice, their body language, all that gives you clues on if they're joking, or like, you know, you'd get that sarcastic tone to go, oh, what are you doing that for, and sort of thing, you know. But that doesn't happen with the written word. So the bants, I'm all for, but yeah, it's like, but you're right, when it's between orgs, you know that the social media managers behind them have that banter, and like that's
they're probably talking to each other behind the scenes and saying, how can we rib each other this week? Not to pull back the curtain, but that's probably what's happening.
Exactly. Yeah, that happens in so many orgs. They get together and go, hey, do you want to have a bit of banter? Let's do this. And it's not just the orgs that do it, you know. Sometimes it backfires, like EA's, they're a 10, but they like single player games tweet.
Oh my goodness.
And how hard did they backpedal on that? Jeez.
They just ripped on themselves.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
Very unfriendly banter against themselves.
Yeah, that's it. That's I just shot myself in the foot moment. But anyway, But yeah, so back on the banter sort of thing, there was an article that you linked me to, Natty, about Fudge, who's an Australian playing in the LCS, and about his take on trash talking. So, like, trash talking to me is different to banter. Trash talking is when you're trying to get in the heads of your opponents. Traditionally in sport, like cricket's famous for it. Like, what's the there was a famous one, I think it was an Indian batsman that said against to Glenn McGrath one day. Glenn McGrath turned around and said to him, Glenn McGrath's a famous Australian cricketer from way back. I say way back, it's not way back. It just feels like way back. And he said to the Indian guy one day, why are you so fat? And he turned around and said something like, every time I get a 4, your wife gives me a cookie or something, you know. And it was just like, and that didn't go down too well with McGrath, but funny. But that's trash talking as opposed to banter, where everything's sort of more lighthearted with banter. And I can kind of see where Fudge is coming from with this, because trash talking can get into very personal details. Like, if somebody's like, he did this to himself, but another real world sports thing was when Wayne Carey left North Melbourne, the AFL club, because he slept with a teammate's wife. I'm not going to banter about that, and that was definitely the wrong thing to do. And he ended up playing at Adelaide Crows, and the first time they played, like, they lined up Carey, like, and let's be honest, I think 90% of people in the same situation would have lined him up as well, because like it's the dog act, and they would have been all over him. They would have been in his ear all day, and that gets personal then. And I'm not defending what Carey did, because it was horrendous and he shouldn't have done it. But when trash talking can take some of that personal stuff, not a fan of trash talking, but I'm a fan of banter.
Yeah, I think that trash talking can really easily escalate. Like, banter's great because you're making fun of something that everybody finds funny. Like, you know, I think that example we had up before where it was TSM awarding evil geniuses for nearly getting a kill.
Like the other way around, TSM almost getting a kill.
Sorry.
No.
You know, everybody can have a laugh at that because it's just, you know, one bad performance. But if it was, you know, so-and-so's a fat player on your team here, have an award for that. Like, that's personal. That's got nothing to do with the game. That is something that you can't really say, oh, just a joke. Like, come on, guys.
No, making fun of appearances or circumstances outside of whatever sport you're playing, I don't think is acceptable. Well, it's one thing to make fun of somebody's performance, and like, in the article that Fudge was interviewed there's evil geniuses again. I'm sensing a theme here. one of their players said to Fudge, they sent Fudge back to the top lane after defeating Cloud9 in the 2022 LCS split playoffs. So like that's acceptable to me, because it's like, if you have beaten somebody, like, then that's acceptable to me as a trash talk.
Yeah, when it's like strictly about their in-game performance, it might not feel nice. But it definitely is more on the line of what is, I think, acceptable and what is considered okay in most of these professional spaces. It's really hard for us as well, because I think in Australian culture we do give each other a bit of a hard time when people do well or do badly. We kind of give everybody a hard time.
Yeah.
Where in the international scene, different cultures and that interacting with each other, that's another consideration you have to make, that maybe players and teams from a particular country might not have a sense of humor the same as yours.
I think it's also a professional thing as well. Like, I'm not saying that the trash talk doesn't happen in professional leagues, but it's kind of hidden a little bit more, because people want to, like, you got the image of the game to think about then, and so people are more likely to sort of hide it a bit. Like, since cricket wickets got mic'd up, a lot of the cricket banter has dropped right off. But there's been books written about the best sledges in cricket. That's the sort of stuff that they're coming out with. And like, that Glenn McGrath story was just the one I remember, but there have been so many more.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I would just always be paranoid I accidentally say something to the wrong person and they're hooked up with the mafia, and then I end up being at the bottom of the river with cement boots. Like, things you have to be careful of. There's certainly been things that have happened in MMA where banter's been taken too far, and death threats and things like that going on, which is definitely not professional and not okay. And certainly something I haven't seen come up in esports.
And fingers crossed that it won't.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I think that's our take. Banter, good. Trash talk, not so good.
Yeah, and Aussies know the difference.
Yeah, that's it. Somehow we know the difference.
Yeah. But we just draw our own line. We just move it whenever we want to.
That's it. Cool. But yeah, moving on, there's some TFT news.
Yeah. So for anybody who's been playing along with TFT, the new season kicked off a few weeks ago, and Order do run our local competitions here for our regional events. So this weekend we've got our first open qualifier event on the 9th and 10th of July, the Rebel Cup. And there's lots of other events following that, but we more wanted to bring this up because registration's open. It is an open event, so if you've ever thought about trying out competitive TFT, it's definitely worth jumping in, even if you get knocked out early, because there's nothing like getting that competitive experience. I think lining up against some of the best in the country. Got to play a game last year against Chunga, and I was just like, so he's one of the top OCE players. Just that experience is invaluable, especially if you do want to try and long term become a top streamer or a top competitor in TFT. You've got to take every opportunity you can.
And the format of TFT as well means that, like, it's not the way the games play out. If you fail if you get beaten one game, that doesn't mean that you still can go on and do the next game, because you've got that ranking. Because it's first to 16 points or something. I forget exactly what it is, but like the game, there's a lot of games that get played as part of it. So you've got that experience there that you're gaining, even if you come up against the best player in the world in your first match. You still might be around a little bit longer.
Absolutely, yeah. So your lobbies are 8 players, and typically speaking, if you get top 4 in your first couple of matches, you'll make it through to the next round. So you could get a first and then an 8th and then potentially still qualify. So you don't have to stress out too much for the individual game results for the first couple of matches. Which is, it's a nice way to be able to play a game, and it's really, really good practice on how to not get tilted. Because you could have a bad game and then still come back if you've got your head in the game and keeping your eyes on the prize. So was something I spoke to Raza last year. He was one of our players that qualified for a world event last year, and he was talking a lot about how he used his professional poker playing experience to keep a level head when he was playing TFT, which is really, really interesting. Just talking about that mindfulness, centering, start getting emotional, just bring it back. Got plenty of time to make decisions and improve on your last performance.
Exactly. I do have a big question here for you though, Natty. Will you be entering?
I don't know why not. It's free. Everybody should do it.
Yeah.
Go
for it. And
plus, I can make other players feel better because they'll be like, yes, I did better than the bottom half of players, and I'll be in the bottom half.
That's boosting other people's self-esteem. I like it.
Yeah, no, last year I was a little bit cheeky. I didn't have any time to prepare, so I just played the same comp every round. You just collect the same things, make the same items. It'll be fine, no worries. Hopefully I've got a bit more versatility under my belt this time around.
That's it. And if you can't make it for this weekend on the 9th and 10th, there is another one on the 23rd and 24th of July as well. So that's another open event.
It is.
And then on the 6th and 7th, there's a Challenger series, which I'm guessing is going to be people that have got Challenger rank, maybe?
Yeah. So people up the top of the ladder get an opportunity to play. So there's a couple of ways you qualify through the ladder. The top 4 players just automatically go through at the snapshot date, but they also run the Challenger event as well. So then 4 players from that group qualify through as well.
Cool. Going to be awesome. Can't wait to see that kicking off very shortly. Lastly, a little bit of Valorant news. So this one's more interesting to me, and because there was a bug that was found in Valorant. Apparently, so in the last 48 hours, there was a bug that, because apparently there's a coach spectator mode, so you can go in as a coach and see everything. But that mode showed where everybody was. So not just your team, everybody.
It was so funny reading about this because they were talking about how it was hard to catch the bug because it kind of flickered on the screen, but it was happening regularly enough that they were able to capture it and sort it out. But by golly, that sure is a bug to have.
That's a big bug. That's definitely not a feature. That's a bug.
Oh my god. Yes. So thankfully Valorant were onto it and fixing it. But it's so funny whenever you read announcements like this, because I went back and had a look and saw it was a problem for a little while, but they did get on top of it. And chat's already like, oh, you're gonna fix this bug and this bug and this so it's all, I think it's always going to be something with digital games that they're never going to be free of bugs, and there's always going to be another thing to fix. But when it comes to important things like making sure the playing field is even and fair for everybody, it's good that they got on top of this one.
God, do you remember back in the day where a bad game was a bad game forever, and like there were no patches? it just the glitch was there, the bug was there, and you just either had to deal with it or not do the things that caused it.
Imagine like No Man's Sky or Cyberpunk, that just couldn't have happened 20 years ago.
No. Well, if it did happen, then that just would have been crap forever. Like Superman 64 is often held up as one of the worst games ever made, and I'm just sitting there thinking, if that got released today, like, not that I think there's much they could do to fix that game, because the problems with that game weren't buggy, they were just it was
the
just an
gameplay.
inherently bad game. But
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was thinking about the landfill of ET games, and I'm
oh
like,
my
no, I think
God.
that was just bad gameplay.
Yeah. Like the pit you fell in and couldn't get out of in that ET game. God.
Oh, yes. Oh my God.
But luckily we do have updates and games can be tweaked, things buffed or nerfed, and that's when that can be objectively good or bad. Sometimes just in people's opinions, good or bad but either way, we will always be here to talk about these things, all your esports stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Natty, thanks again for joining. Hope the new night of Thursday night is good. And wow, you should really go back and watch those Wednesday night LCO games. They were just rippers. So good.
Yeah. We'll watch it again.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm doing. As soon as this is finished broadcasting, I'm going to start watching him again, just so that it's fresh in my mind what happened.
Yeah. Thanks, Jim.
No worries. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for stopping by to watch this video. If you like what you've seen, why not check out this video here? Or if you really like us, drop us a subscribe. And don't forget to like and comment as well. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.